fantastic IT help desk support? Have you ever had terrible IT help desk support? If so, where would you go to submit timely and constructive feedback for these types of installation services? There should be an app for that. We are proposing an app-based solution, Think Yelp, to crowdsource warfighter performance feedback across all of our Air Force installations to better understand and manage the contracted services that we receive. We call it the See Something, Star Something app.
Each year, our Air Force spends $40 billion in contracted services across our 70-plus installations. Yet we only have 4,300 contracting officer representatives, or CORs, out in the field acting as sensors, providing performance feedback. What if we crowdsource this information instead? What if we leveraged all 463,000 sets of eyes and ears that enter our installations every single day to provide feedback? You would have a 100-fold increase in the amount of sensors in the field, which would dramatically reduce the amount of spend per sensor from 93 million to 86,000. The National Defense Strategy challenges us to transition to a culture of results and accountability. Our app does that for our contracted services.
Our app will solve 3 key problems for the Air Force. First, we are just not good at monitoring contract performance, period. As you can see on the slide, over the past decades, the GAO, IG, and SIGIR have time after time noted our poor performance for managing our contracts, especially service contracts. Our app will solve this gap by using crowdsourced feedback from all of our warfighters. Those are our sensors now out in the field to better understand the quality of service we are receiving on our installations. We're able to do this by allowing all of our warfighters to use their personal smart devices linked with commercially available technology such as location-based services and QR codes to be able to link that user directly with the service they want to rate. As Colonel Landell is demonstrating, all it takes is the scan of a simple QR code and you can directly rate that service. Or in this instance, take a look at General Spacey's biography.
Everybody will have that one.
The second problem is that the Air Force can be very hard to work with. We have outdated hierarchical information flows. As you can see on the screen, the warfighter, when he identifies a problem, must work through several layers of bureaucracy in order to get to a person who can help them solve the problem. Our app proposes to connect these key players in a more networked fashion. This will not only improve the information flow, but will also increase contractor responsiveness when we find issues. It will help us identify contractors who are struggling and might need rehabilitation. And most importantly, it will help give us feedback from both the warfighter and the contractor to better shape our requirements for the future.
Lastly, we don't currently leverage all of the buying power we have in our Air Force, and we don't track enterprise data for the quality of these services. Our app can solve this by providing a single database for performance feedback where we can look at trends and key analysis that will allow us to identify critical service gaps supporting our warfighters at our installations.
We are asking for $1 million and 1 year to build, test, and field this app. Keep in mind that this is budget dust compared to the $40 billion we spend each year on these services. It will take us about 120 days, roughly 4 months, to work our way through an AFWRX challenge, which will produce a 75% solution to this app. Then we'll take 5 months to test the app and 3 months to tweak it and field it. Now, what do you get for this investment? You get better support for our warfighters. Keep in mind that this app is for every functional at every installation, everybody who's using a contracted service, which is everybody. You'll also instill a culture of results and accountability in our contractors that is not quite there today. We can improve the way services are delivered at our installations, and this is the way to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well done, well done. So I've got a couple thoughts on this, but one, So if you're going to crowdsource it, how are you going to get consistent information? Not everybody's trained to do this, and so what do you do with that information that just doesn't make sense? Or how do you screen through that?
So our thought is that the Corps will now be the monitor of the information rather than the one body out there doing all the collecting of the information. So we talked to some developers at AFWorks, and they told us that basically you can leave the back end of the app open, which would allow us to upload our evaluation criteria that are right in the contracts. That way, when a user pulls up the app, they can find what they're going to rate, and they can see the criteria against which the contractor will be rated. That way they know, okay, maybe I don't like it, but it isn't within performance criteria or performance standards. So we can do it in that manner, or for some services that might be Air Force wide and have similar evaluation criteria, for instance, maybe grounds maintenance, if we have like an AFCOLS to it, then we could just do the star rating, which will allow, of course, very simple analysis, 1 star, 5 star.
So first off, I applaud your idea. I mean, as a prior installation commander, I wish I could have gotten more feedback on the services that we were providing on an installation. But when I think about, anybody being able to provide feedback on something, somebody may not understand that for a grounds maintenance contract, you're only funded to a certain AFCOLS level. So you could be getting all sorts of negative feedback, but the user might not know that, you're only funded to a certain level. So I see that as a complicating factor in this as well. And then also, there might be those things on the installation that aren't under the responsibility of the contracting squadron on the installation, like the paper isn't coming out of the receipt thingy on the gas pump at the gas station, which is totally somebody else's thing to worry about. So I don't know, can you kind of just help me understand how we would overcome those couple things?
Yes, sir. To your second point, what we would be able to do is build an interface into the app that would only allow ratings on services that are provided by contractors. Okay. So it would be a validation screen essentially, where you would have to validate that is the particular service you would want to rate on.
Okay.
Well, that's too bad, because I saw that a different way. I thought you'd get feedback from all over the place. You just segment it somehow.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, sir. If we want to push this out and expand it so that we can rate on services that are provided outside of the contractor realm, we can do that. It's very scalable. So we're able to actually push it out. And if we want to have it replace the ICE system, for example, this would be an app that would be able to do that.
So walk us through, first I applaud you because it's being pushed by the contracting community, but this is for the requirement owner. And so I feel you're pulling it and they're pushing it, but walk us through how valuable this is going to be to a contracting officer representative who cannot get to those places. And so what is happening right now, the impact on the Air Force?
Right. So you can go everything from cleaning the bathrooms all the way up to aircraft maintenance, how important this could be. For instance, at a lot of the AETC bases, I'm sure you're aware that the aircraft maintenance is a contracted out service. So if a user identifies a problem, they often don't know who the Corps even is to get to them to say, hey, this is a problem. So our idea would basically it would sort of geocache or geofence the location to be like, okay, on this installation, here are the services that are available, or I'm standing in this medical clinic, here's who's operating under a contract in here, and you could rate them. But the implications can be huge for our mission execution for services like aircraft maintenance or other operational type. Now, of course, not as critical maybe for janitorial services, but I'll tell you, people are passionate about the cleanliness of their bathrooms, and it's impossible for one Corps to hit, say, every bathroom on JBSA, right? To say this is working or it's not. The contractor's doing a great job or they're not.
So I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but I heard recently, and this is at a Global Strike Command base, that their #1 concern is they don't have enough corps, and so they're self-identifying that they can't even provide coverage. And so right now I don't think that we have an answer for that. So thank you guys for coming up.
I want to be on board, but you ask us for $1 million, and
Yes,
that's
sir.
not what we have today.
Yes, sir. We have other solutions. I think this will get us started. And then, of course, being in the contracting realm, we're very familiar with things like SIBRs and other avenues for funding. So I think that we can see it all the way through. And we probably would be able to leverage some commercial technology as well, sir. They might run us a little lower than $1 million.
Well, you're thinking, and that's important.
That's a good idea.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.